Beating a black child is the whitest thing that you can do to destroy them psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, and physiologically. So what I talk about in my book, Spare the Kids, is I go back 2,000 years of history, back to antiquity in Europe, where corporal punishment, this ritualistic violence against children, was born. And,
In Europe.
In Europe. And there are white guys who wrote books about this. So, when black women say this kind of stuff, nobody believes us. But I got the bibliography. So a bunch of white dudes wrote this before I was even born. And they've tracked all of this violence against children in Europe. Europeans never respected their own kids.
Y'all haven't believed me when I said this before, so I want y'all to not take my word for it. I want you to take her word for it. That's Dr. Stacy Patton, who wrote the book, Spare the Kids, Why Whippings Won't Save Black America. She's the one who did the research to discover that ritualistic corporal punishment of children did not exist in West Africa prior to the colonization and slave trade. Where did it exist in classical antiquity? Greece, specifically Sparta. I remember there was a group of people, I think they were called the Spartans, that would take their little boys about 5 years old and traumatize the hell out of them for about, 20 years until they become real warriors. And they were such good warriors because they were so traumatized. All they knew was death and unaliving people. And they would beat them anytime that they were caught doing something like trying to take food because those kids were so starved. Yeah. And Master really got us out here believing that hitting our kids is something that we have always done. That's not the case. That's like the biggest lie that he's told. And they also really got us out here believing that white parents don't beat their kids. I don't get it. I don't know where it comes from, but that's what they out here believing. Listen, much of the reason why we're out here beating our kids is because we're believing these lies, that these traditions are beneficial for our kids. But we can see time and time again that it is not.
Some conversations make you question everything you thought was normal, and this is one of those moments. Hello everyone, welcome back to Trending Pulse Worldwide. If you're new here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking discussions. Now let's get into it. So you just heard Dr. Stacy Patton say that beating a black child could be the whitest thing you could do to them. That statement has sparked a huge conversation online, and when you really think about it, it makes sense. What she's saying is that physical punishment wasn't originally part of black culture. It was taught to us through slavery, since white slave masters used beating as a way to control enslaved people. And over time, that method of discipline got passed down through generations. But if something was forced onto us, why are we still holding on to it? Now, some people argue that beating kids isn't a white thing either, and Dr. Patton actually addresses this in her book, Spare the Kids. She points out that corporal punishment was introduced in European schools in the 2000s, meaning this isn't just a black issue. It's a bigger conversation about discipline and how we treat children as a whole. And she's not the only one speaking on this. Many people are saying that beating a child isn't just discipline, it's abuse. And instead of physical punishment, they argue that parents should communicate with their children and teach them through guidance, not fear. So let's check out what some people had to say.
So basically they were saying oftentimes in our community, if you don't beat your kids, that's a white thing. But Doc was saying, no, if you beat your children, that's very white. And we're not talking about people. We're talking about viewing whiteness through a lens of an oppressive system rooted in violence. And a lot of y'all are using the oppressive systems that our ancestors experienced in order to discipline our black children. If that ain't transgenerational trauma, I don't know what is. And I hear people say all the time, Dr. Shonda, I was beat as a child and I turned out fine. At the same time, you're the same person who you have a hard time trusting authority figures. You also never learned how to express your emotions because you were told as a kid to stop crying before I give you something to cry about. But yet you're good.
They got all the beatings, they got all the punishments, but that doesn't work. You can't take children and beat them and yell at them and tell them all kind of crazy stuff and expect them to go up be okay. Only a small amount of kids will make it out of that okay, and the rest of them will struggle for the rest of their lives. We're creating a sick environment. We're creating a sick race of people of all skin colors by doing this to them and treating them that way and beating them and yelling at them. You can't do that.
A friendly reminder that if you are hitting your kids, you're being abusive and you need to stop.
You want to know what I find very interesting about the dynamic of whooping your kids? I grew up getting whoopings, and I don't think they helped me, to be honest, because I still did what I wanted to do. I wasn't a terrible kid, but I did what I wanted to do. But what I find interesting is you have grown adults that are trying to discipline a child and tell them they're doing something wrong, but you can't control your emotions enough to communicate with your child instead of putting your hands on them or yelling. As an adult, it's your responsibility to communicate effectively with a child. And of course, you got to do it based on their age level, where they can understand. But we resort to hitting because you can't communicate. And then you end up teaching your kids that is the best way that they can communicate. And you wonder why your kids grow up hitting or doing things they shouldn't be doing because you taught them that's how the fuck you communicate.
Did you get beats when you was young?
Different, man. Look at my hand. Like, this is nice.
That's not funny to me. That's not
But
not
I got
okay.
beats for doing dumb shit though.
And that's not okay.
No, like really dumb shit. Now look back at it, I deserve
guys,
the beats.
let's no. You're a child.
True.
You are a child.
You're meant to do all these things.
If you as a grown adult can look at a child that has made a mistake, that is scaffolding their understanding of the world from mistakes, from touching things they shouldn't touch, from eating things they shouldn't touch, from running into places they shouldn't touch, and you think that the appropriate response to teach that child that does not have the mental cognition to be able to differentiate between right and wrong is to beat them, you have no business having kids.
Now, instead of just talking about what not to do, let's look at an example of what healthy parenting can actually look like.
Bye, darling. What? That's okay.
Do you understand how liberated this child will be? Do you understand that this child won't be scared to attempt things and fail and still live to the fullest and in the moment? Do you understand that this child can go to an interview or anything in life and not make it and still be able to look ahead? Do you understand that this child won't be scared to make mistakes? This child will be liberated to forgive and to live life in the moment, not to hold on to the past things of the why did this happen to me. Do you understand that this child is going to go anywhere in life with a full heart of not thinking about, was I meant to be here? A lot of us are still dealing with child traumas even in our adult life.
Now, that right here is how children thrive. And instead of reacting with anger, this mother reassures her child that accidents happen. And because of that, this child will grow up knowing that mistakes don't define them. And they'll learn problem solving, confidence, and emotional stability, not fear and trauma. And that's really the heart of this conversation. It's not about letting kids run wild. It's about breaking harmful cycles. And if beating children has been proven to cause emotional, physical, and mental damage, and if it comes from a system that was never designed to uplift us, then why are we still defending it? Let's have this conversation in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more trending conversations. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.